Are you all right? Happy
Yeah,
Christmas, Catherine.
I thought that was the general. Are you all right? Yeah, no, happy Christmas. Yeah,
I
almost
think it's the
Christmas.
Derby. It's the Derby twang in me. I want to say A up, to be honest. A up, mid up. I think well, it's
Where,
nearly
where are you? That's
midday.
Leeds, isn't it?
No, it's
Duck.
Derby. It's Derby.
Right.
I don't think I've said to anyone Happy Christmas at all this side of December. So you're my first Happy Christmas.
Oh, I feel blessed. Special.
Well, how have you been? Have you enjoyed December so far?
Yes, yeah. I think I'm feeling things. Are they winding down or winding up? I can't quite tell. But hoping to have a nice break over Christmas. It seems to have been exceptionally busy across all practitioners this year in particular. And I don't know if you're feeling the same thing, but the feedback is it is busy.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, looking forward to a break. And I've actually done all of my Christmas shopping already, so I am going to thoroughly enjoy it without being stressed.
See, I was clever too when I did all my Christmas shopping on Black Friday because why not? As long as
Yeah.
you're organized about it, I was on it. It was strategic. I knew exactly what I wanted to buy. Boom, sorted.
Mhm.
Um, so for people who don't know us, I think we said we are going to do introductions for each other. So I start with you.
I haven't prepared anything now. You've just reminded me. So mine's going to be
That's fine.
awful. You go
This
for
is
it.
the family law Christmas meetup. This isn't question time. I'm not going to start like saying, Catherine, tell me about your family. Did you have a good childhood? I'm not going to start doing that. I had someone do that to me on a podcast though. So, what's your relationship like with your
Oh,
dad? I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is. I
oh my
thought this
God.
was
How
going
long
to
was
be
the
like Desert Island
podcast?
Disc. Yeah, it got deep.
Yeah, I
Um,
know.
it's none of that today. It is.
Brilliant.
I want it to be. It is our Christmas party, right? So you're based in Herefordshire.
Yes, I am. Yes, middle of
I
nowhere.
am the West Midlands, so we were never in a million years going to be able to meet up this side of Christmas. So this is our Christmas party to vent, to talk about family law, to try and not swear too much about the courts, but just have a nice chat and catch up. To be honest, I bought you some presents, and I've
Yes,
just
they've arrived. I've not looked
Catherine.
as per the promise. As per
I
the
don't
promise.
know how you function as a human being because when I know I've got an Amazon parcel coming, I treat that delivery driver as a god or a goddess, and I'm there going, I'm waiting for that parcel. But I had a phone call off your delivery driver going, Are you in? I said, I don't know, I'm not a keeper. She might be in. I don't know. She could be.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah,
knows, to be
no,
honest?
yeah, I get so many that I can't hang around for them. So that's the
No,
more of the
this
issue.
is it.
Yeah. There's so many coming to my house. But yeah, they left it in the rain, which I was
That's
disappointed
helpful.
in fact it was soaking. But yeah, you've told me
Well,
it's not perishable. So
it's not perishable. Do you want to open them up now while we start it
yes.
off? Because you
Okay,
were
yeah.
talking about not feeling festive enough.
There's two, is that right? There's
Yeah,
two
yeah. There
packages,
should
right? So I'll
be.
start with this one because this is already semi-open from the rain, but I haven't gone as further with that. That's where
Wow, that looks delightful.
I am. Oh, lovely. I like green.
I'm sure I've seen you pictures with your hat on, and I thought, do you know what? That
Yeah.
would just be fitting for you.
It looks like it lights up as
It
well.
does, because
Oh,
nothing says Christmas like
I
LED
see.
lights on your head.
Okay. Right. Oh, crikey.
Oh, they've even got batteries in it. Well, so you're not
Yeah,
on your
it's
own.
come with come with batteries. Okay. Oh gosh.
We don't have to wear this for the whole recording, though, do we?
It might blind people. And then
I
I've got
think it might.
this.
So this one is for just to when you need that relax. But I'll tell you why I picked it.
Oh my God. This hat is something really special. Really special. Let's have a look. Oh my God. Right, how many boxes is it in? Because I'm down one. Should we go another one?
This should only be one box.
It's like a Russian doll. I'm
Oh
layering
right,
it.
okay, fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah. Hold on. God's right, here we go. Okay, there's more packaging.
So I apologise on behalf
I
of
see. Oh my
not
gosh,
saving
I
the
see
planet.
liquid.
Yes, it is liquid, so it's non-perishable.
Okay, is it alcohol liquid?
It is alcoholic liquid.
I'm
Um,
really happy right now.
that's fine. I'm happy for you.
Oh, Wicked Lady.
So I picked it because it made me laugh because I thought, well, actually, that's probably what they call you, the perpetrators after court, when they
Oh
go home and
yeah.
they speak to their friends and family. Go, wicked lady, she stopped
Oh
me.
yeah.
She
I
stopped me
know.
from doing this and this. So I thought it was quite fitting, really. Whether it tastes
Yeah.
any good, we're not sponsored by Wicked Lady or by flashing LED Christmas
Right.
hats, but yeah, we're getting there. But
No, but
never
if
mind.
Wicked Lady do want to sponsor us, we would happily take
We'd
wine.
take it. Try it first
Oh,
though, and then tell me if we want to
okay.
go with a sponsorship.
I haven't got a glass, so this is
That's fine.
the
It's
unclassiest
a family law
swig ever.
Christmas meetup. It's an informal conversation, Catherine. Doesn't matter.
It's actually really nice. Yeah, I would
We'll
drink
do a
that.
spin-off. We'll do a wine
It
spin-off.
needs
That's what we'll
chilling. I'm
do.
gonna have more. Woo! Oh, nice. I'm chugging
Good,
it.
good. Right. I
Excellent.
think Christmas hats off or on.
Uh, I'll leave it on, but I'm gonna
You
turn
leave
the
yours on. Um,
flash off.
we haven't done introductions, so I've
Oh yes,
missed that
sorry.
out. So, Catherine, you're based in Herefordshire, family lawyer, renowned for domestic abuse work. We've known each other for a short period of time, but you're a ray of sunshine.
I could just copy it because it's almost the same, isn't it? So
I
Richard
tried.
is renowned for his work for domestic abuse, so much so you have your MBE. I think that's fantastic that you've been nationally
Thank you.
recognised for the work that you do for victims. And also genuinely so, because I think there are a lot of people out there, and I'm not ashamed to say this, that say they do domestic abuse work, but actually it doesn't come from a genuine place. And that really upsets me as a practitioner, but you're one of the rare ones who genuinely care about it. And regardless of somebody's status, circumstances, finances, or whatever it might be, you're there to help them. And Richard has recently joined a new firm,
Yes.
MSG, where he is the head of family law in Birmingham. So yeah, I've been referring a lot of people your way.
Do you know what? You was talking about the MBE. I could say when people speak about it, I'm honoured, but I'm also kind of like annoyed a little bit because when I got it, it was nice to have it, and it's like a massive honour. But like you said, to me, that MBE is saying that I've gone above and beyond other lawyers in domestic abuse law. And I
Mhm.
don't think I have. I don't think I have gone above and beyond. I don't think I have kind of, you know what I mean? The standard that I set
Yeah.
is what should be the standard. And I know that it's the same standard for you.
Yeah.
But you're right. There's some family lawyers out there that kind of fire the baton that we're experts. We're experts in domestic abuse. And then when the push comes to shove and they actually have victims of domestic abuse on their door, the amount of times I've had people tell me that they've gone for meetings and they just feel judged and they feel why have I bothered even speaking to you? And it's a massive issue as to what we face. I think someone raised the question, didn't they, in a chat to say their solicitor said not to raise domestic abuse. Why would that be?
Mm.
Um, and I don't know if you have the same. I have so many clients who come to me from other firms whereby they've been told not to raise domestic abuse because they said, "Oh, it makes you look bad." If you say that, it'll make you look terrible. It'll make you look bitter. You
Mm.
haven't got enough there. And then all of a sudden they've come to me and I've said, "No, no, we need to raise it." And I've had cases where we've done a massive 360, and then literally the courts have gone, "Jesus Christ, this is bad."
Yeah.
I had one recently where we went to court and it was dad is the perpetrator, and I like to make sure that I'm clear to everyone that domestic abuse happens to men and to women and non-binary. Um, but he sounded like he was recording himself in court, Catherine, right? And me being me, I'm before the magistrates. I said, "I'm sorry, Your Wishes, but is he recording? Is he recording himself?" And he was standing up. We don't stand up in the magistrates' court, but he was standing
Mm.
up, and you're not too young for the Kevin and Perry Go Large reference, are you?
Oh no, I'm not. Go for it.
So he's there in court, and he's like this, as if like I've inconvenienced him.
Yeah.
And literally, he storms up to the magistrates, lifts up his shirt, and goes, "No wire, no wire," as if it's like a mafia film. So just
Yeah.
mad,
I think what
really.
people expect happens in court is never how it actually happens. And I would extend when you talk about sort of like it being an it should be the case that lawyers
Yeah,
understand domestic abuse. When you look at the statistics of cases going to family court, including
yeah,
domestic abuse, there's no actual statistic published on that because they won't release the data of domestic abuse allegations in court. So it's an estimated figure between sort of 50 to 80%, depending on sort of feedback from other sources. But when you get that figure, it should not just lawyers, but all people involved in a family justice system, all levels of practitioner feeding into that should have that basic understanding of domestic abuse. And we talk about it being a nuanced thing. It is in many respects, but I think you need to have that because if you're going to family court, chances are, statistically, there will be allegations of domestic abuse and they need to be looked at properly and thoroughly.
Have you ever faced, when you've gone to different firms to work, have you ever been told that it's really niche that you're doing domestic abuse work? It's really niche, that. Really,
Yeah.
really quirky that you're doing domestic.
Yeah.
But
But how is it
to
niche?
make it to make it feel like it's a really small issue in society, that it's really small, that is, that you're doing domestic abuse work. And the amount of times I've had to tell people that it's not niche, like literally the statistic I have in my mind is 1 in 4 people are affected by domestic abuse.
Yeah.
So it's your sister, your aunt, your brother, your colleague, your uncle, everyone. There's a link somewhere. So to then be said it's quite niche that that's happening, it's kind of like, well, that's absolute rubbish. But what have
Yeah.
you faced when you've gone to like new firms or you've raised to people that you are a domestic abuse lawyer?
Well, I've had some people like the idea of it because I guess to them it's sort of like a selling point. So I'm used as a selling point to some people. Like, oh, we've got this
Yes,
domestic abuse lawyer. She's
you
got an
are a
IPA
selling point,
qualification.
Catherine. Yeah,
But I have had some firms that when I've said, well, look, I don't typically act for perpetrators. I think they'd look at my profile and run a million miles the other direction when they saw what I
yeah,
did. And they'll say, well, I had this twice actually. We've recruited a solicitor, not an IDVA. And I felt like, well, hold on a minute. You saw my CV and you knew what I brought to the table, and you can be both. Like, I can have safeguarding at the forefront of my mind with my cases and understand domestic abuse as I would as an IDVA, but
yeah,
I can apply the law as a solicitor. And I think that's really important to be able to do both. And I
yeah,
don't see the two as mutually exclusive. So it's been a bit of we want you for that experience, but we also don't want you for that experience. And it can be very difficult to navigate that, which is why in the end I ended up just going self-employed as a consultant because I get to sort of choose the types of cases and work that I do. And I refer clients into MARIC, which is a risk assessment conference taking place for DA victims. I've been asked to do internal training on suicide ideation and how to manage that, how to do police safe and wells. And it's that extra
mm,
level that I think, again, I'm with you. I think it should be basic because how many clients do you have call you and say that they're going to end their life? They're feeling
yeah,
suicidal. That's how bad they are. And if
yeah.
you don't know, if you just go, oh, okay, and put the phone down, what what have you done to help that person? You've got to know how to handle that call. And I think that comes as a basic.
But it's crazy to think, isn't it, that that isn't a basic, um, and that you are a kind of, like you say, you're a special kind of commodity at a firm that you deal with domestic abuse victims, where there's firms out there that literally just blanket, we're experts, and they're not
Um,
experts in any shape or form. And it annoys me when I see on LinkedIn people posting that, and I know them firsthand that they're not experts. But like what you're saying here is about empathy and just being able to relate to someone and being that safe space to kind of talk about stuff. Shouldn't that be a basic kind of SRA code of conduct principle commandment kind of thing for any lawyer? Just being able, so especially in family law, that you're
yeah,
able to kind of just empathize. I
yeah,
can't say that all the solicitors I've met been able to do that. There's been some solicitors where you kind of speak to them and you think, I'd hate to see what you're like back at home. Like,
no comment.
yeah, no comment. But it should just be just a standard. It shouldn't be kind of just an add-on or a specialty. And it's sad, isn't it,
Right.
really? But I think having these conversations where we're not doing the whole LinkedIn kind of like, everyone's amazing, Catherine. They're all doing great. And domestic abuse is getting improved. It's having a
As well.
conversation where we're being
Yeah.
realistic and saying there's loads more work to be done and
Yeah.
it needs to be sorted, rather than kind of having this optimism that it's already been sorted and the problem's in the past when it's clearly not in any shape or form.
Yeah, I agree. I think again that goes beyond sort of lawyers and just all agencies involved. Like you get reports from various so local authority or Section 7 or whoever it is that has done those reports.
Yes,
Such
yeah,
a
yeah.
variety of like some of them you can see really understand. And they've picked up on the fact that this is, coercive control, very difficult to identify, but if you know how to, you will. And there are some that come back which do, and then some that you think, oh my gosh, how are you not seeing this as
I
coercive
know.
control? Like
I
it's
know.
quite blatant, and they'll come back not seeing it. And that report dictates so much in the family court, so much that it
Don't
can be
you feel
extremely
crazy
damaging if it's
sometimes
wrong.
though, Catherine? Like I've had cases before we've had controlling coercive behaviour and it's obvious, like it's there black and white. But then it goes to the police and they go, "I'm really sorry, but we haven't got enough evidence to go for controlling." And you just think, "Yes, you have. I've seen cases go for less. Like this is there in black and white." Or it goes to the courts and you get a bad judge, and the bad judge goes, "I can't see it. I can't see it as a problem. It's just two parents." Having a
Yeah,
fight, it's just two parents just having two different parenting styles, and you go,
yeah,
no, no, it's not.
yeah.
I had a case once, and this was years back, and the the other side had been done for talking to who he thought was a 14-year-old girl online, and it wasn't. It was one of those like
Uh, yeah,
stealing
yeah.
groups kind of
Mhm.
thing. And we went before the judge, and it was a child arrangement case. And the judge went, "Why is this man not having contact with his children?" And I'm like, "Have you read the papers, Judge?" "I have read the papers." And I went, "Well, you'll know that he's actually been arrested for talking to an underage girl." "Oh, okay. Section 7 report, and then we're back in 12 weeks." And it's just like, well, clearly you didn't read the
Yeah,
paper and you were going off on one, trying to blame both parties when
yeah,
quite clearly it's not both parties in this in any shape or form.
yeah.
I had another one. Do you remember the days of the separated parents information program?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Oh,
so
yeah.
this was during lockdown, and
Mm.
the legal advisor said, "Do you know what? Do you know what I think the problem here is? I think parents can't communicate with each other." And I go, "Well, actually, actually, legal advisor, he smashed her head against a patio door. They shouldn't be communicating
Yeah.
anyway." And because he was suggesting that they both do the separated parents information program because she was as bad as him and that she needed to learn. I was like, no, 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 no. If you'd read the papers properly, then you'd realize actually that wasn't the case.
That's
So,
my one of the biggest bugbears is when they're like, right, I think you both need to do a parenting program. No, no, there's a freedom program for my victim, and then there's a
yeah,
perpetrator program for my perpetrator, and that is how we move forward. We are not doing these joint. I hate it. It's just such a cop out when they go, oh, well, let's both do a parenting course. Oh, what? Why? A lot of the time, the victim client has done them
yeah.
because they want to present in the best light for family court, and they've done it, and yet you get the judge. Oh, well, you both need to do it. No. Freedom program, perpetrator force. That is what I think is the best outcome there. And the same is for undertakings, is when you go in with a non-mole and they'll go,
Yeah,
oh, should we do joint undertakings? Why? The victim's not done anything. So
yeah.
why are you giving them an undertaking? I don't understand. It's such a easy out for them. Well, they see it as that, and victims feel they have no choice.
Do you know the training for a judge?
Isn't it half a day?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's peacekeeping. So they get trained to be peacekeepers. So not law deciders, but peacekeepers. So the multiple choice question, I'll probably never be allowed to be a judge now if we have this conversation. I'll be blacklisted on
Would
some
you want
book
to be?
somewhere. Yeah, well, but basically it's a multiple choice question, and one of the tests is, and
Mm.
I'm going to give you the actual question, and you
Oh
tell me what
God.
the right answer is. Right, you're a
Okay.
judge, Catherine. Right, you're in
Yeah.
court.
Right, okay.
You've
I'll take my
made your
hat off for this because I
all
feel
right.
like I shouldn't be a judge with my
We've got
hat
to be
on. Oh
official.
gosh.
All right.
Oh,
All right.
oh, right, okay, I'm ready. Yeah.
So you're in court. You've made a ruling. All right.
Mhm.
One of the parties kicks off and starts swearing at you, calling you every name under the sun, right? What do you do? Okay.
Probably call
Do you
security. Okay,
well,
sorry. No, these options.
A,
Okay, right,
there's options. You've always got options, Catherine.
right, fine.
A, ask security to come in and have them escorted. Okay. B, aggressively raise your tone at them and say, do not talk to me like that, or I will get a security. Yeah. I'll throw in a little wild card here. C, get a taser and taser them.
No,
Or
okay.
or D, stand up and get out of your chambers and say, that's the end of your ruling, done.
Well, security, A, unless I've had more wicked lady, in which case I'm tasering, but
It's D. So all you have to do is you stand up and you get out.
then they're left in the room with your victim.
I don't make the rules, Catherine. I
Yes.
just write them down, you know.
Yeah, I
But
remember going
that's your
somewhere where,
answer.
yeah, I was told domestic abuse training is like half a day or something. I remember that in my mind from something, a talk somewhere, but
You're right.
it's
You're right. The
crazy.
training is either a day or it's half a day, and
That's
they get
awful,
what's
isn't it?
called tickets. So you can have a ticket for
Yeah.
children's cases, a ticket for for finance cases. Um, so yeah,
And for
you
magistrates, it's not mandatory, is it? Domestic abuse training. Don't think.
but it's
It's
niche,
just
Catherine.
awful.
Why would they need to do that?
Why do
It's
people need to do all
niche.
this things? Yeah.
It's a
Yeah, it's
niche
not that
bit
important.
of
Not
area.
that important.
Um, but no, I could say the courts at the moment. Uh, have you got Pathfinder?
Well, it's been just been rolled out locally. I've had a couple of Pathfinder ones in other courts so far.
I'm worried.
I'm so glad you say that because I'm sick of people going, oh, it's the best thing. It's the voice of the child, like minimize hearings. I have literally watched a case almost get to a final hearing on papers alone, promoting
Yeah,
contact, where dad was a known drug dealer and abuser in that case. And a few weeks before that final hearing, he'd gone into the town with a knife threatening people.
yeah.
But they were going to be like, yeah, no, he's safe. And I said to my client, I was like, I don't care if the order says we're not filing anything. We're filing a statement. So
Yeah.
we did, and we got a hearing listed. But that could have gone completely to a final
They
order,
want to
no
do
hearing.
it without you actually attending court
Yeah.
hearings, and they're doing a situation at the moment where they're trying to front load, aren't they, as much as
Mm.
possible. The CAFCAS doing a report, and they're doing it for every case. But the thing is, we didn't have the resources to do Section 7 reports. I remember arguing for a Section 7 report, and the CAFCAS saying we don't have the resources to do it, and it was clear wishes of feelings case. And
Mm.
now we're saying we're going to do it for every single case. How does that work?
It's just mad, isn't it?
That just makes no sense
Yeah,
at
I'm
all.
really concerned about that, and I don't feel that there is scope for people's voices, like the
No,
victim's voice or the other side's voice, to be heard properly in that forum. Yeah, I understand about putting the child's voice forward, and that's really important. But I feel that already exists by way of the Section 7 anyway.
I disagree, but
Oh,
only on
controversial.
a sliver, because I agree with you that the Section 7 reports do work, but we need them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They work, but we shouldn't have to be fighting for a Section 7 report. I had a legal advisor, I'd argued for a Section 7, and because the safeguarding letter said no to a Section 7,
Um,
and I put forward a lot of good information, so why we needed it.
right.
The legal advisor actually had said from higher above that under no circumstances are you to direct a Section 7 report if the safeguarding letter says not to do so. So if it says no, we don't need a Section 7. You can say whatever you want to say to that legal advisor, they will just say no. So where's the justice and the hearing in that? If you know already that the answer is going to be no, just because someone from Kafkas has said we haven't got the resources to do this.
See, that's so bad because I wonder how many children are suffering because of a lack of resources.
Yeah,
That's
and,
that's the reality of it, isn't it?
but then there should be a balance, then, shouldn't there? So
Mm.
Pathfinder should find a balance where we're not saying let's cut out in-person hearings and let's do it paperless, because that's not having the child's needs as a focus, and it's definitely not having a parent's needs as a focus. We're pure and simply doing it on a paper bureaucracy, aren't we? Really, just rubber
Yeah.
stamp it. in essence.
Yeah. Yeah. It's rolled out in Birmingham, isn't it?
Yeah,
Pathfinder.
we've got it in Birmingham. I've
Mhm.
done a case in Wales, and I just found it dreadful because we'd had major safeguarding concerns raised against mum's partner. And on that, we were having paper hearings, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, how do you do that? You can't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I had the
Um,
same experience in Wales, actually.
yeah,
Mm.
so I'm a big fan of Wales, but having Pathfinder then, having Pathfinder in general, I'm worried, and
Mm.
I'm glad you kind of agree that there's so many people online doing the whole. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's going to be the best thing ever, and I'm thinking,
Oh, yeah.
no, no,
And
it's not. It's very, very, very worrying, and we shouldn't be promoting it to say that this is going to be absolutely amazing because it's not been thought out properly. It doesn't. It's not going to work in the long run, and the old system was fine, but get it right, the old system.
yeah.
Don't start trying to reinvent something with something new that
Mm.
we clearly just needed it fixed. That's all we needed.
Yeah, I do think one of the good things it has done is because it's quite a new concept, let's call it. It's enabled a lot of charities to get funding for additional IDFA roles. So we've seen a lot of
Okay, that's
Pathfinder
good.
IDFA roles.
Yeah,
Yeah. So actually, because it's a new thing and people are testing it out, a lot of places are so I know Black Country Women's Aid have West Mercia, My Women's Aid, they've all got these Pathfinder IDFA roles. So effectively
yeah,
people who aren't eligible for legal aid, and and they can't afford a solicitor, they'll get some support, not obviously legal advice, but they'll get some support from the Pathfinder IDFA within that organisation who can
yeah,
go to hearings, attend with them, and take them through that process. And I think that's possibly one of the only big positives I see out of it is that actually people have given money to these organisations to
yes,
give people
yeah,
support, and I think that's a good thing because it's a new concept, I suppose. So I've seen that side of it, which has been positive. So well, as it's Christmas, I'll give something positive.
yeah. I think with that, what you've said as a point of practicality, if anyone does take an IDVA or takes what's called a Mackenzie friend, which basically is some support, they're not allowed to talk, they're just there to support you. If you go in and the other side try and contest that and say, I don't want them there, it is your right to have someone there. But on a Mackenzie friend front, if that Mackenzie friend is personally involved in that case, because I used to have these arguments with a judge in Derby, and I had about six Mackenzie friend applications, and every time I'd say no to it, he'd say, tough. They're staying. And the only time I was able to get rid of a Mackenzie friend is when the guy brought in his partner, but the partner was also being alleged to have done X, Y, and Z in relation to domestic abuse, and it was passed on to the police. So I
Mm.
think you've got to stand your ground with the court or with the other side and say they're staying.
I will caveat that with if you have a solicitor, any IDFA or ISFA are automatically allowed into any hearing under Practice Direction 27C as an amendment. So that's like Mackenzie Friends are different, but yeah, IDFAs and ISFAs. It says all equivalent, so I quite often get DAPAs in. So people who
Yeah.
don't have the title, don't worry, as long as you're domestic abuse support and not sort of general family support, you will be allowed in under that. Because I've had someone contest that before, and I just said to the legal advisor, Practice Direction 27C for qualification done, and it wasn't. That was it.
I've had so special measures, so screens and separate entrances and exits. I've had to argue before for special measures for a client,
I
um,
know.
and I've had to argue with a judge who said to me, "It's not a God-given right that you get special measures, even though there's been domestic abuse." I think he even got convicted for it, the other side. And I was just shocked. And I then said to the judge, I said, I don't think we should be having this conversation. And if you do want to contest special measures, then I'll be making complaints to your authority. And then
Yeah.
it all got dropped. Because again, special measures, it's there to kind of make sure that you can give your evidence or participate in the court hearing without fear of your perpetrator. But
Yeah.
again, there's some judges they will literally do what they can. Again, it's what's the need? If someone
I know.
feels more comfortable having a screen, let them have a screen. It's not causing you any issues at all.
No. Although I did go to one hearing in a court that shall remain nameless, where I stood and I am relatively tall, but I'm not like a giant. And I could see the perpetrator's head over the screen, like, hello. And luckily, my client was already sat down, but it
Yeah,
was literally like, what was. What's the point in this screen? Like you can literally stand up and see each other. So when the judge was entering an exit and we all stood up, like you could theoretically just see them there. And I just think, even though there are screens, sometimes they're completely insufficient and not fit for purpose. And It's really sad. Like some courts I go to and they're completely set up ready and they've got these big screens you can pull across and it's so seamless and you don't even need to request it because they are literally just up and
Yeah,
there and all you do is pull them across. But then there are others you go to and they're just really insufficient. And like you say, you're there arguing as to why they need that protection. And I once had a judge say, well, the non-molestation order's now expired, so you don't need the special measures anymore. As if, well, suddenly it's better because it's
it's
expired. Like,
solved. We're
yeah, it's
done.
like no, yeah, and it just makes it incredibly difficult, I think. It's an extra layer of something that we have to argue before we've even argued the case.
It shouldn't happen. And like I say, I know you're saying about automatic right for your IDVA or ISFA to attend,
Hmm.
but I have actually I've seen judges trying to argue to say this room's too crowded or why do they need them? So again, have your ammunition in place, but I'd love to kind of say everything's going to be a smooth ride and that you won't have any problems
Yeah,
whatsoever going into court raising that I want this, I want this. But as we've just kind of figured out from both of our experiences, it doesn't normally happen. So again, it's just stand your ground. That's the only advice
yeah,
that I can say. You've just got to say, look, I want this. And don't be worried about upsetting the judge or looking like you're being difficult, because at the end of the day, not all judges stay on the same case. And if you need it to be able to give your best evidence or you need it for that support, just stick with it.
yeah.
It doesn't matter about the judge.
Very rarely does the judge keep a case unless it's particularly complex, I find.
I'm going to move on to the next bit, Catherine. I'm going to say two words, and you tell me what the first thing that comes to your mind. Um,
There's some right games today.
well, it's Christmas. We're
Yeah, Christmas games, of
celebrating
course, Christmas games.
Christmas.
Yeah,
No, it's not. It's not a Christmas. If this was a
it's
Christmas
not a Christmas
game,
game.
then you've got a sad Christmas life at your Christmas household and all that. Parental alienation.
What's the question? Is that just two words? And so
Just
it's not a
wow,
question.
it's just two words.
Person
Give
to
me
my
your
name.
first thoughts when I raise the word parental alienation.
Pseudoscience.
Pseudoscience. I've not heard that one. That's
Yeah.
well, I
Fake science.
agree. I agree with parental alienation as sometimes it happens in relation to perpetrators and children, but it's such an overused phrase, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
so do you have it in your cases where if a child gives wishes and feelings and says, I don't want to see mummy or daddy, for example, because they're nasty, then what normally does the perpetrator then say? Parental alienation.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like a go-to kind of like
Yeah.
defense, isn't it? Like the kid's been
I've had,
brainwashed.
yeah. It's endless. Like, I'm pretty sure in most cases where I raise domestic abuse, I'm getting PA back or DAVO. So, deny, attack, reverse victim and offender role. So it's either one or the other I get,
Yeah,
without question. And it's a difficult one because I believe in alienating behaviours, and I do believe that, and this is where I find things extremely difficult as a practitioner because I find that sometimes victims will unintentionally use alienating behaviours with their children. And I don't think they mean
mm,
to do it. But when you have experienced trauma, that comes out in certain ways. And I wish there would be less of a sort of focus on those alienating behaviours and more of a focus put on how do we support the person who has been traumatized to
yeah,
heal, and therefore the children won't be exposed to sort of that underlying friction. So it is a difficult one, but I do feel that it is also being used extremely more commonly now for
yeah.
perpetrators as a defence. Well, it's PA, and really in courts, parental alienation has such a high bar. But I'm finding that judges are loving it. They
Uh,
are lapping
It's the
it
flavour
up.
of the month. I agree with what you're saying, but what we have to kind of take into context is like say the whole thing about showing alienating behavior or involving
Mm.
children in relation to how someone's feeling about the other party or about the circumstance. The issue that you face is that it's so difficult to kind of mask, isn't it? Because if you're upset, if
Yeah,
you've been abused, that you're not going to be able to keep a straight face. If you've got police
yeah.
coming into your household, or I've had one before where
Mm.
kid was in the car and dad was chasing mum around the car and stuff, and she was frightened. So again, it's how far do you kind of go with
Yeah,
this, to kind of mask the perpetrator's behavior. And I can see where you're coming from in that aspect. And I could see where a
Mm.
perpetrator could go, well, she's saying this about me, or she says that he said
Mm.
this about me. But you can't hide that much. Kids aren't stupid, are they? At the end of the
No.
day, they're not. They're not
Yeah.
idiots. They know what
And
the
I do,
situation is.
yeah, even if it is that, even if those alienating behaviours are coming from a trauma response, that is
Yeah,
still the fault of the perpetrator, right? Because they put
yeah,
them in that
yeah,
position.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
still
Absolutely.
the perpetrator's fault that they are, being witnessing that trauma response from the victim parent. So either way you look at it, it's the perpetrator's fault, yet they're going to use that against their victim. Then the earlier question you asked about being told not to raise domestic abuse, I don't believe that you should be told not to do that. But then when the public is seeing sort of like these reported cases coming out with these
Well,
decisions,
why would you?
you can see, yeah, why would
Yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah. Why would you?
Um, yeah, it's
I,
so hard.
it's but again, it's I think there was a post that someone did on LinkedIn saying about domestic abuse and reporting it, and some solicitors are saying not to report it. And I've commented to say it's about confidence. It's about the amount of reports I get where someone's had a barrister or they've had a solicitor and they've said, "Can you
Mhm.
raise this point for me?" And they say, well, no, or they just don't do it.
Yeah.
It's about in their own professionalness not upsetting the judge. And that's not what the law is about. It's not about
Mm.
not upsetting the judge. It's about putting forward a client's case
Yeah.
properly. But when you kind of go, pretend everything's hunky dory and everything's happy and fine and there's no issues whatsoever, when there certainly is lots of issues, then
Mm.
that's just completely wrong. It's again, we're failing people then, aren't we, as lawyers, if we're
Yeah,
not putting forward their
absolutely.
case properly.
Yeah. Well, safeguarding's got to come first, and those
Yeah.
allegations are safeguarding allegations, and that is at the heart of the family court, right? Isn't safeguarding at the heart of what we do? So why wouldn't we raise those if they're safeguarding concerns?
The the problem I face with all these conversations though, when we talk about safeguarding and we could sit and talk about all the protective measures, is there's a phrase that I use constantly and it's give a victim a shield and the perpetrator uses it as a sword. So the term that I am loving at the moment because we don't really talk about it and we need to talk about it more is misidentification. So with all of these special protection measures we've got in place and this high threshold that we're putting in for domestic abuse, um, it's good and it's bad because what's happening is perpetrators are going to court pretending to be victims of domestic abuse. The courts are then going, oh, well, that person can't see their children. The victim can't see their children for 6 months, or putting other measures in place, affecting their livelihoods and their work. And then when we get down the line and prove there has been no domestic abuse whatsoever and it was all made up, the courts then turn around and say, let's just move on. Let's just forget the past. Let's just forget the past. But then we're 6 months to a year down the line where someone's not been able to see the kids at all or properly,
Yeah.
and nothing's been done about the perpetrator because they've
No.
literally used all the tools that we have in our arsenal against
Yeah.
the victim
Against them.
as a sword.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit of a weird campaigner, and again I don't know what your stance on it is. Is that well, I see these posts where we say we've done these amazing things and we brought out the Domestic Abuse Act, and that's a whole different kettle of fish. But some of those tools there from the Domestic Abuse Act is brilliant because it helps
Mm.
victims. But then it's a double-edged sword, is that you're going to have so many perpetrators who are clever and they're not stupid perpetrators. There's some really stupid perpetrators,
Mm.
but there's some clever ones, and they will manipulate the system, manipulate the police, manipulate social services, and we'll use the tools in our arsenal against the victims, and then
Yeah.
nothing comes about from it at
Yeah.
all.
I think I know a little bit, yeah, what you mean by that. You are a weird campaigner, by the way. But
I try.
so I last smiled when you said, don't know if you agree that I'm a weird campaigner. Yes, I do. But yeah, again, with the presumption of contact, I can see it being used the other way.
Yeah,
The removed presumption is going to be used by perpetrator to say they don't need to have contact with the victim. And it's exactly what you were saying in terms of in that scenario that you just described, where you've sort of got 6 months, a year with the victim not having proper contact with their child. If that was a perpetrator, they'd have done a PA, parental alienation.
Yeah.
If findings aren't made, we're then looking at a transfer residency because mother's allegations have put dad in a position where he's alienated from the child.
Yeah.
I'm using mum and dad because of the gendered stereotypes
Yes.
there,
Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
interchangeably. But yeah, I think that's what we're seeing, and that's why parental alienation people are so scared of it as a term. What do
Yeah.
you think of it? I mean, you've touched on it a little bit.
I think it's overused. I think
Yeah.
I'm just bored of hearing it because, like I say, some cases there's absolute parental alienation. I had one when I was in Nottingham, and the kid got interviewed by Kafkas, and dad got interviewed by Kafkas, and dad had the child, and dad had said, "Mum's terrible, mum's horrible, mum's this and this," and then the child got interviewed, and "Mum's terrible, mum's horrible, da 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 da," and it's like basically, well, the child just been told what to say,
Yeah.
but it's such an overused term. And if I don't hear it say once a month, then I'm not doing my job properly because it's just everyone just uses it. And again, it's non-domestic abuse lawyers who think that they're clever people that raise it in court to go
Yeah.
parental alienation, like a weird Harry
Yeah.
Potter spell, like Lumos kind of
Like it's gonna fix the
alienation.
problem.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But it's annoying, and it's like the term narcissism. I'm just tired. Like I read a TikTok thing, and I was like late at night, and they were going through that the traits of narcissism, and it was like they breathe, they drink water, they
Oh
walk,
no.
they have
It's too
eyes,
much.
and
It
it's
is
like,
too much.
wow, anyone could be a narcissist, and there's a science to it. I agree, there is a science to it. But again, it's terms that we have, and we just overuse them. And as soon as you
Yeah.
overuse them, they lose their magic and they lose their power.
Yeah, with the narcissism, I totally agree. Like, narcissism is it's an actual scientific like diagnosis that you can
Yeah.
have. Not many people actually have it at all. And I think you can be an abusive person and not be a narcissist. And I think that's probably statistically stronger. You're more likely to be an abusive person than a narcissist. There's a very small portion of those people who will be narcissists, but it doesn't mean that the people who aren't narcissists are any better. It just means that the different types of abuse and it stems from a different thing. And if anything, I find that sometimes labeling somebody as a narcissist because it is a psychological condition,
Yeah.
minimizes their actions. And that's the concern.
Yeah. Do you know, that's a really good point, actually. It kind of it gives a kind of reason as to why it's happening. And it's, well, they're abusive because they're a narcissist. And it's like, well, no, that's not an
Yeah.
excuse.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been to a few talks, and people have tried to use alcohol is a reason why someone's abusive. Gambling is a reason why someone's abusive. It's finding an excuse to kind of say, well, that's a box. Narcissism is a box, and we can put him in or her in this lovely little box, and we can explain why they do what they do. And no one can explain domestic abuse. Like there's no one factor that kind of shows as to why that person is abusive, and to kind of only have like one, two, or three, four, five factors to say this is why abuse happens. It gives an excuse, it gives a reason, and it justifies the behavior when there is no justification whatsoever. Because to have a bad person, we need an origin story, don't we, as to why that person was bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've got the prequel to Cruella de Vil, 101 Dalmatians. Did we really need the prequel? Did we really need to know why Cruella likes to kill dogs? I don't think we did. But we've got origin stories everywhere.
Yeah.
Just to
Yeah.
kind of, it makes us feel better. It gives us a kind of sense of
Yeah.
that's why it happens. And again, there's probably victims that are wanting to hear this and have the same mindset as to, well, I do want to know why that person did what he did or she did what she did.
Yeah.
But the problem we face is there is no answer. There is no kind of definition or box we can put this person in to kind of label. Because have you read, I assume you read the Bible, the Freedom Program Bible?
Oh, right. I thought you meant the actual Bible. I was like,
No.
I'm going
The
to level with
Bible
you
for
now.
domestic abuse lawyers.
Yeah, the Freedom Program. I know a lot of people call it. I know a lot of people think it's outdated, but I still really like it. So
I still like it.
still
I
like
say I
it.
think it still holds a place. and I've
Mm.
seen the updated versions, but again, it was never meant to be the outstanding guide to everything. It was just meant to be a
Yeah.
basic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
again, people have updated it and moved on from points, but it was just something there to kind of help people at a time when we needed it. And Pat
Mm.
Craven, like, so do you know the story of Pat Craven?
Yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah. So she used to work in prisons with
Yeah,
perpetrators of various offences, didn't she? And she heard the same recurring themes in terms of what they spoke about in their groups. Yeah, and
and
that
they
sort of
used to
formed what
boast
they were
about
creating.
the stuff, and they used to give
Mhm.
tips to each other as to where
Yeah.
don't punch her in the face, punch her in the side because it's hideable kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's a brilliant piece just to kind of start us off with something. So yeah, should we move on to another question?
Yeah, go for it.
It's Christmas.
It's Christmas, Christmas questions.
So we had a question, didn't we, about someone's case where they're doing finances. Can it be
Mm.
stipulated that the reference is an, a certain reference because the perpetrator is using said reference to send weird and wonderful messages when they're sending bank transfers? Um, so the answer is yes, because but the problem you face, and Catherine, I don't know if you'll agree, is that when we go to court and do these financial orders, we don't kind of, well, I wouldn't in my mind, unless I'm told otherwise, I wouldn't stipulate on a financial order that this person is
Mm.
going to do X, Y, and Z. So therefore, I need to put on there that the reference for the payment needs to be this. So if there's a previous behavior of someone sending, say, bank transfers and putting horrible names and comments on the actual
Yeah.
notes, then absolutely you raise it with the judge and you say, I want it, so it's this. What's your thoughts?
I agree, and actually that brings me on to something that happened with someone I was working with, and this is more for my legal aid people out there. So I do lots of legal aid work, as people know, and the legal aid agency will look at your bank statements, assess your income background, and throughout the relationship, their ex partner had transferred money into their account with jokey kind of references,
Yeah,
and they put things like for sex. Yeah, the legal aid agency genuinely thought my client was a sex worker and did not want to give them legal funding because they felt that they were generating revenue from sex. And it was quite difficult to explain to people that no, this wasn't. It was from an ex partner account, and we were able to show sort of different transfers from that account showing what it was for. So we got there in the end, but it was just sort of reminded me that you do have to be. It's one of those things you don't think about,
yeah,
but do be really careful about the references that come through to you on payments because, like you say, it is a form of some communication. Sometimes I've had people send money and put like, please call me as a reference. Like, I miss
yeah,
you and stuff like that.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah. And they're just trying to find, when they're blocked on everything else, they're trying to find any means to like get in touch with you. And they will use that
yeah.
avenue. And I think if there's a way to limit that, I absolutely 100% would raise that.
It's mad, isn't it, that technology is such a big part of our lives now, and the fact
Yeah.
that we even have to have this conversation about references on bank statements. Like when I started law, and but probably when you started law, you would never have kind of thought to yourself that this would be an issue that you need to kind of think of. But
No.
yeah, how do you find technology with your cases? Is it a hindrance or is it
I
godsend?
find it quite dangerous. So I'm kind of anti. I know AI is used everywhere, but I'm still really
Yeah.
nervous about it. I've had clients who have had issues with perpetrators reaching out to children on video games, so
Hmm.
Minecraft accounts and things like that. Being really mindful that they don't know who they're playing with on these online profiles. Amazon Alexas, watch out for those. I've had
Yes,
people asking
absolutely.
Amazon Alexa what have people bought, where have they looked at on their sort of devices, like what have they been asking the Alexa. Sat navs is another one. If you've got a shared vehicle, people can watch what you've put in your sat nav, where you've been. So there's all these sort of extra layers with technology that people have to think about. People
Yeah.
automatically think, oh, what's on the phone and check it for spyware. But people are becoming so much more inventive now.
I used to just check. So I had clients saying find my phone. So that was the only thing I checked. But now technology, as much as they say it's like this amazing thing, so security wise, like Ring doorbells and like
Oh,
Amazon
yeah.
Alexa and all that, if you're living with your perpetrator, your house becomes a prison then, doesn't it? Because you can leave at
Exactly.
any time, or most people can, but Ring tells when you've left the house.
Mhm.
Alexa can monitor you inside the house. The the Roombas, the electronic hoovers and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they've got cameras on them.
I have not heard of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. So there was a
Oh my
few cases
gosh.
in America where people were able to hack the Roombas and literally watch you all around your house. So that's how they managed to get around because they track your house with different
Whoa.
pixels and stuff. And also with Find My Phone and
Yeah, yeah.
AirTags, your perpetrator can know when
Mhm.
you've left the house, when you come back in, and what conversations you've been having in the house. So the
Yeah.
days of having cameras up in the ceiling and all that, they're gone because
Mm.
we're now
Yeah.
more sophisticated of how we kind of keep tabs.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
but then the positive side for all technology's sake, because it's Christmas, let's be happy about some stuff.
Yeah, always things from the
Um,
positive. Yeah.
always on a positive. Um, if you have got Ring doorbell footage or if you've got recordings and things like that, they brought in new guidance, didn't they, about covert recordings?
Oh
Uh,
yes.
oh yeah, and I find it absurd because they're trying to reduce the amount of covert recordings. But
Oh, doesn't it
I
make it
think
how it's hard enough to gather evidence as it is for a
I
victim.
know,
Like, what are they
I
supposed
know,
to do?
but I
Yeah.
find it absurd that if you've got a recording,
Mm.
it's there in black and white, isn't it? I had a case once where mum had said that dad threatened to burn the house down and kill her brother, right? The kids said exactly the same and says that dad's said he's going to burn the house down and
Yeah.
kill the brother. He says absurd. It's just no, that never happens. That wasn't the case whatsoever. And I turned up to court and she says, "Well, I've got the recordings." I'm like, "What do you mean? What? What do you mean you've got the recordings?" And he's there and he's speaking Punjabi, and he's saying, "I'm going to burn the house down and I'm going to kill your brother." I went to his solicitor and said, "Are you pretty sure he didn't say that?" And he went, "How dare you? How dare you? My client would never say such a thing." And I'm like, "Well, I've got a recording here." And they were going to prevent me from playing the recording. Me being me, went to legal advisor and said, "Actually, legal advisor, this is a doozy. You need to listen to this." So we listened to it, and he's there saying, well, he in his defense, he says, "I didn't say I was going to burn the house down." I go, "Okay, what did you say?" "I said I was going to burn the kitchen down." Okay. And he went, "Well, that's a big difference then, isn't it, really?" So in the end, he had to agree to findings me made against him. He had to go to a domestic abuse program.
Brilliant.
And the only way you can access a domestic abuse program now is if you admit domestic abuse. So we'll get to that bit at the end. He then does an anger management course and does all this. And then we get to the actual hearing. And he's still sending a weird and wonderful messages saying, "I'm going to kill myself if I don't see the kids." And then he stands up after saying that he's done this domestic abuse program and he says, I don't agree that I'm a perpetrator. I've only agreed to it because you won't let me see my kids otherwise. And they said, "But we've got the recordings where you've said you're going to burn down." Well, I said it because I wanted to say it because if she didn't do as I said, I would burn down the kitchen kind of thing. And it's stuff like that with recordings. If we hadn't had the recording, he would have got away scot-free with Kafka's approval, even to the point they were accusing mum of alienating the children against dad by making them say that he'd said all this stuff. So I couldn't care less what guidance I get, say about recordings. And if
Yeah.
I go before a judge and a judge says to me, "I don't want to listen to it," I will be making application after application to make sure that these recordings are in because they've got to be
Mm.
listened to. There's no way around it at all.
Yeah, sometimes they just do, don't they? Because, like, it's so hard for victims to gather evidence at the best of times, especially for coercive control. It's one of the hardest things to prove.
Yes,
And
yeah,
I think recordings are one of the only way it's kind of their saving grace. They do it for their safety, but they do it because it's the only way they know they're going to get the evidence that
yeah,
they need. And I think
yeah,
then to exclude that is putting the victims at sort of a further disadvantage because they're already at a disadvantage going in a lot of the time because of they're
yeah,
what they were because of the presumption of contact and all this and the other. But I feel it's even worse for them without being able to rely on the very little amount of evidence they do have. Um, yeah,
yeah.
it's hard.
It's ridiculous. Um,
Yeah.
moving on to the next segment, Catherine, the police. Are they doing
Oh
enough
gosh,
to
how long
help
have we got?
victims?
How long have we got
You
for the
s-
police?
you see the little
Oh
transition I
dear.
made there from
Oh no.
useless to even more useless.
Oh gosh. Yeah. I can't cope with the police, honestly. I can't. I actually don't even understand what they're doing half the
No.
time. And yeah, I really don't understand what is going on with the police force. And as soon as I think that one police force is doing like an okay job, they'll just completely f it up.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
just think, what on earth is going on? And yeah, I really don't understand. There seems to be a real battle between the criminal court and the family court, and they're both like not listening to each other, both wrecking each other's like, I guess, fact find or investigation or whatever it is
Yeah.
they're doing, making completely contrasting decisions half of the time, and I just don't understand. Yeah, I find I've had a client who came to me with a ridiculous amount of evidence for coercive control, and one of the most evidence I've ever seen actually for coercive control. And the police just did nothing. They didn't even arrest. They invited them in for a voluntary interview. That's all they did. And I thought, if this is what they do with that much evidence, nobody will ever
Hmm.
get prosecuted for coercive controlling
No.
behaviour. Do you know anybody? Because I know there have been them, but I personally have never worked on a case where the perpetrator has been prosecuted. They've been investigated, but prosecuted or charged for coercive control.
Coercive control was never meant to be a primary charge. So that's the history of coercive control. So coercive control was always meant to be the safety net. So you would always tag it along with another offence, so an assault or something like that. I'm interested to see the Jay Blade case. Do you know
Mm-hmm.
Jay Blade from the Repair Shop? Because
Yeah.
I think that's going to fall through. Because like I say, it was very interesting that they've charged him, but they must have some real damning evidence if they really think they're going to prosecute him on it. Because
Oh yeah.
it's an offence that you are not going to get unless you can really prove. I think um, there was that
Oh
one case, wasn't there, with that male victim, and they could show that he had been controlled and coerced, that she'd poured
yes.
hot water on his leg, that boiling hot water, and used a spoon or something like that to hit his knees. They could show it, but it wasn't just linked
Yeah.
to controlling coercive. It was a physical assault
Exactly.
on him.
Yeah.
That was the primary offence. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, again, it's nice that they're charging, but again, the conviction rate is very, very low. And the issue there is the reason they're charging controlling coercive behaviour because they're trying to get the numbers up to show that they're actually taking action when they know full well they're not going to be able to actually
Yeah.
prosecute.
I don't know whether it's because I'm just working in regions where they just don't do it, because I know some police forces are better than others. And I actually, to be fair, I don't have any sort of in your area police force. I don't have any cases there with police, to be fair.
They're not
But
doing it.
yeah,
So
and the forces that I'm at, they're just not. And yeah, it's really difficult. And I really hate the people who come on and say, "Oh, well, innocent until proven guilty," or stuff like this. And I just think, no, you can still be guilty. You just don't meet the ridiculously high burden of proof. It's just for
again, it's
criminal. Because you can be guilty in
we
the
have
fact
to be
find, but
so
not in
careful
criminal.
though, Catherine, with this because the issue I have
Mm.
is that we're so kind of the view, and this is where the difficulty lies because you can't say if someone's been accused of something, it's a 50-50, isn't it, as to what the
Yes.
situation is. And again, I've met so many actual real victims, and they've been investigated by the police, because the perpetrator has made so many false allegations. The police have gone, well, we've got to investigate. And then they go and they'll say, well, we've been accused of doing this and this. And say, well, okay, well, have you got the evidence? No, no, we don't have the
Well,
evidence. And it's like, well, why have you then called this person in? I had one chap and he was accused of voyeurism. And the wife had gone to the police to say that he had a video outside the toilet watching her, yeah, come out the bathroom, right? And your face says it all there because you think, oh, disgusting, kind of like he's done that.
mm.
What she fails to mention is the camera was in his office and the bathroom door was like next to it. So this camera that he had facing his office, she then goes to the camera and it's all on footage. She moves the camera to face the bathroom, steps back just to check that she's in shot, calls the police. The police then arrest him for voyeurism. and accused him of this. And he says that it wasn't, it was on my office because she was stealing stuff from my office. And then they look at the footage and see that she's moved the camera on purpose. And you know what happened? Nothing. He got released. He got no further action. But then when it was pursued about the fact that she tried to give false information to the police, they said it's tit for tat. But he had to go to counselling because again he'd been arrested on something that he'd never done. And again, it was just traumatizing. He got arrested in his own home, but nothing got done about it. But when you say, oh, he's been investigated for voyeurism, you automatically think, oh, what a bad one. But when then
Yeah,
you find out actually the wife had
the
done a plant,
circumstances, yeah.
you then realise, well, he's innocent person.
Yeah, it's so sad that people go to those lengths to make like false allegations against people
Yeah,
because there are genuine victims out there, and then we wonder
absolutely.
it's cases like that that make people then not believe the genuine cases that are coming
Yeah, yeah,
forward,
yeah.
and it's really difficult. So no, I agree with there has to be an element of caution.
Should we
Mhm.
end on something positive? And well, as
Yes.
positive you can do for a domestic abuse podcast on family law and the courts and all that jazz. So, can you tell me some practicalities? If someone's listening today and they are a victim of domestic abuse, what would you say are your pro tips on helping them? Not in regards to the safety wise, because again, that's they need to contact the police, they need to contact IDVAs and ISFA and other organisations. But on a legal aspect, what would you say is the practical ways to make sure they're protected?
Ah, see, that's so interesting. Because when you said not safety, I was like, automatically, that's where my head goes, because
Oh,
that's my IDFA training, isn't it?
it is.
Yeah. So I think evidence is key. It's really hard, but if you're not sure if you're in an abusive relationship, and you're sort of exploring that territory, then if you did want to do anything in the future, if you were concerned about safety of you and your children, collating as much evidence as you can. So, I know a lot of people will delete messages, delete things. There are loads of apps you can get now where you can effectively download your data onto a private app, so it doesn't even look like that app. It looks like something completely different. I don't know if we can mention any on a podcast, but there are a couple, so please get in touch if you want to know what they are. But there's a couple you can effectively store your data in there, and when your perpetrator will look at your phone, you can have it disguised as a weather app or a calculator or something that
Yeah,
doesn't look like an actual app, or you can hide it altogether so it doesn't look like it's on there. So they're really useful tools. If you can send any evidence to a trusted friend or something to keep if you can't keep it on your own phone. And yeah, just make sure I was going into safety territory then, like make sure you have a spare passport and medication at a different address in case you need to flee. So things like that. And then you always reach out to somebody to talk to you about sort of there's emergency orders you can get for your protection. So emergency orders can include non-molestation orders, occupation orders to remove someone from the home. And there are different things you can get for your protection. So if you're not sure, always reach out to someone. I know Richard and I will often talk to people sort of
yeah,
FOC free of charge about those basic protections that you can get and how you can get them. And there are also loads of different agencies around. So it's all about sort of making contact with your local domestic abuse service, talking to people in the know, because there's so much out there in terms of help, which I think people don't know is there until you get there. It's just about knowing where and how to find it. So don't be
yeah.
afraid to sort of speak out. If you're not sure if it's abuse or you're sort of unsure how you feel about it, a conversation is not going to cost you anything. And if you are struggling to sort of get out and about by yourself without being watched, then we can do really inventive things. Like I've met clients at doctor's appointments before, hospital appointments. There are different ways if you're being monitored where we can access you and help you get that support. So the first step is just reaching out.
Yeah, that's
What about
you've
your
covered all
tips,
base.
Richard? Have I just stolen all of yours?
Ooh. My big thing at the moment is say once you've done all that, what you've said, Catherine, and then you go find a lawyer. I think it's just making sure that you find the right lawyer. The whole purpose of this family law meetup today wasn't to kind of push me and Catherine. It was more, and again, we agreed it, didn't we, Catherine? It's just to get something out there for Christmas because it's Christmas time. And alcohol's going to be pouring and you're all going to be stuck in houses on Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and all that. And we're all finishing work. And it's just having a conversation, not just by those who are facing domestic abuse, but also people who aren't facing domestic abuse and having it in the forefront of their mind that they can have the conversations with friends or they can notice if a friend, family member, or else is having a bad time, I think from my perspective is once you have got to the stage, what Catherine is saying about you've reached out for help, you've gone to all your services, you then look for legal services, it's finding the right solicitor. And it's finding someone, one, that you can feel that you have that relationship with and you get that empathy from. And they don't need to be patronizing sods to go, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm really sorry to hear that kind of thing. Someone that you gel with, in essence, but also respects you because we are paid by you, legal aid wise, regardless, we're still paid by you as to your service. And it's making sure that you get the standard that you deserve, a solicitor that you can call and you're not waiting 5 years to get a response from, or you're getting advice that's actually proper advice and not lazy advice, not that I can't be bothered to do that application today, or I can't be bothered to lose face in front of a judge. It's making sure that you demand the best standards. Whilst I've started my new position at MFG, and my big push is family revolution. It's demanding the best from your family lawyer, not complaining every 5 minutes and being a nuisance, but just making sure that when you go to a family lawyer, you've got those standards there in place and you've got that mutual respect and you don't eventually have to come to me because you've been to see a family lawyer that's totally screwed up your case because they don't know what they're doing or they're just not putting the time and effort in, and that you're getting the right advice, you're getting the right momentum on your matter, and then you get the right result. Because it's bad when we talk about this, Catherine, about family law and about going for stuff and going for a non-molestation order or going for a child arrangement order or finances. But at the end of the day, whether it's money or whether it's organizing time for a child or whether it's stopping someone from coming to your house or coming near you, the overall issue is it involves your life. It's humanity, isn't
Yeah.
it? So we can talk about it very methodically and say, this is what we're trying to achieve. But the bigger picture is that someone out there is affected by these issues. And then what we do is try and help you with that so you can live a happy life and a normal life. So again, we've just got to make sure that you are getting the proper legal advice you need and you're not doing this alone. What we'll say now, Catherine, then, it was lovely to catch up with you on this family law meetup.
Yeah, I better put on my flashing hat for a
I'll
final
put on my Santa hat.
one.
Shall we say Merry
Goodbye,
Christmas
flashing
to
hat.
everyone?
Yep. Oh, crikey. Oh, there we go. I'm back with the kids.
So, Merry Christmas. Have a good New
Merry
Year. And
Christmas.
Catherine, a very good one.
You
And
too. I'm just going
thank
to enjoy this.
I don't blame you. But it's a thank you from me, and it's a thank you from Catherine. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you
And
very much for having
if
me.
you have any questions, you want to contact us, then please do so. But thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.